Don't talk, he hissed. His breath smelled like burnt coffee and nerves. We were in the banquet room at the Midtown Hilton, January 14th, 6:32 p.m. He leaned in like he was shielding a secret from national security, not his own mother. Boss is coming. Don't say anything stupid. I didn't answer. I adjusted the collar of my blazer and looked around the room. Polished tables, loud laughs, people he wanted to impress, not people who raised him. He used to squeeze my hand in rooms like this. Now he looked embarrassed I was even breathing near the buffet. Across the room, his wife smirked at me. She didn't wave, just took another selfie. I stayed seated. Quiet. Too quiet. Maybe that was my mistake, thinking staying silent meant staying safe. But I already knew where I sat on the food chain. I was the mother, not the story, not the asset. My friend Karen, who'd helped set up the event, walked by and whispered, "You good?" I nodded, but she didn't buy it. That boy forgets too quick who paid for his first suit. She walked off. I stared at my hands. I remembered the day he wore that suit, how I stayed up hemming it at 2 a.m. before his first interview. I'd paid $380 for tailoring and dry cleaning that month. Didn't even blink. Now I blinked twice, just to keep from tearing up. Not from the insult, but the shame. For missing every sign that this was coming. The way he stopped inviting me to team dinners. How he introduced me as Sarah, not my mom. They always say, family is everything. But if that's true, why is it only family when they want something? He said I worked retail, like it was a punchline. What he didn't say, I own shares in his company. I sit in the meetings he doesn't know exist. But tonight wasn't the time to show my hand. Not yet. He turned away. I stayed seated and watched the door, because the real moment hadn't arrived yet. The door opened. He stepped in. Froze. CEO Robert's 6'2" charcoal suit, sharp as ever. The room shifted. Conversations dipped like someone had pressed mute. My son stood taller, chin up, smoothing the front of his jacket like he was about to deliver a TED Talk. Then Roberts saw me. His expression cracked. He took 2 steps and stopped cold and squinted. "Sarah?" he asked, pointing half surprised, half confused. "You're his mother." He turned to my son. "You said she worked retail." Silence. The kind that stings your ears. I didn't flinch. I just looked at the tablecloth. Cream linen, one stain near the edge. I traced it with my thumb like it mattered more than this moment. My son didn't speak. His fiancée's grip on his arm tightened. I watched his face rearrange itself into excuses he couldn't say out loud. He blinked too much. Karen across the room near the bar muttered to the bartender, and that's the sound of ego breaking. I stayed seated, didn't defend myself, didn't correct anything. And you know what? That hurt him more. Ever watched someone choke on their own story? I did. And I didn't move to save him. I remembered the week before, he asked to borrow my truck, my 2014 Tacoma, to move some boxes. Said it was for work. Found out later he drove his fiancée to look at condos. In my truck. On my dime. And still, I came tonight. If I'm such an embarrassment, why's my name on his insurance? Why's my signature still on the lease? If we're family, why does he only remember that word when there's paperwork involved? That was the part that stung. Not Robert's face. Not the silence. But the fact that I raised him and he chose to erase me. And maybe I let him. I didn't explain. I didn't need to. But I did notice something else as the evening dragged on. Something small off. But it would matter later. He stopped calling me Mom in front of his friends. I noticed. At first it was just her or she. Once outside his dorm, he waved me off and said, "She's just dropping something." Like I was the delivery driver. It was October 12th, 2019, cold gray, and we were standing in the parking lot of that overpriced college with my hands full of groceries. A receipt from Safeway fluttered out of the bag. He didn't even pick it up. Later that night, I told my friend Dana about it over the phone. She was quiet, then said, "You sure this is new? Or you just finally seeing it?" I hated how that hit. He didn't introduce me at job fairs, not even when I brought the blazer he forgot. And during his engagement dinner last year, I overheard his fiance's sister say, "Wait, she's your mom? I thought she was the housekeeper." He didn't correct her. I wanted to believe it was stress, pressure, that he was trying to fit in. But fitting in shouldn't mean cutting your mother out. If he's proud of this new life, why is he so quick to erase the one that got him there? And if I'm family, then why does he introduce me like a footnote? That night, I dug through my kitchen drawer for the envelope labeled Loan Docs. I pulled the original student loan cosign sheet I signed in 2015. My name, my credit score, my savings as backup. I looked at it like I was seeing it for the first time. He can call me outdated, but that outdated signature saved his future. So why is he pretending I was never part of it? I'm not proud of this next part, but it's true. I laughed when he got promoted. Laughed, but not from joy, because I knew they'd praise him for grit, but I was the one who worked double shifts. They start small, calling you old-fashioned. Then they rewrite your whole story, but I hadn't thrown anything away. Not yet. And one folder still had more than just papers. I opened my inbox, searched founding investor. It was 6:12 a.m. on a Tuesday, April 2nd. The sun hadn't fully risen, and I was still in my robe sipping bad instant coffee, but my hands were steady. There it was, an email from July 9th, 2016, subject initial capital transfer, confirmed. I had wired $75,000 from my retirement savings to help my son and his college friend start their little tech idea. Back then, it was just 2 laptops on a folding table. Now that company had a downtown office with glass walls and catered lunches. They named the company after a Greek god. Thought it sounded modern. What they forgot was who backed their Olympus. I scrolled down to the attached PDF. Signed contract. My name listed under Angel Investor, Class A shares. No expiration, no transfer clause. I'd forgotten about that. Just because they forgot doesn't mean it disappeared. I screenshotted the contract and forwarded it to Dana, my old colleague from the firm. 2 minutes later, she replied, "Well, damn. You're not just in the building, you're on the board." I should have felt proud. Instead, I felt stupid for forgetting I ever did this, for letting them paint me as some outdated retail worker who didn't get it. And I hate admitting this, but part of me wondered if I had said no. Back then, would he have loved me less? They say family sacrifices. But if he could pay back the loan, why'd he still need my name to get a second mortgage last year? I'm not asking for gratitude, but erasing me while still cashing in. That's not love. That's convenience dressed up as loyalty. I opened a new tab, looked up board contact emails, found the CEO's assistant, the real one, not the one who sends Christmas cards. Drafted one sentence. We should revisit Class A voting terms. No signature, just sent. I didn't sleep after that. Not because I was scared, but because I finally remembered what I'd buried. And someone else just remembered too. He ordered iced tea. I ordered black coffee. No sugar. It was April 8th, first 20 p.m. corner table at Granger's on 7th Street. Same booth we used to take client calls from back in 2009. CEO Roberts sat across from me in a crisp navy blazer, but I didn't feel small this time. Not even a little. I didn't know he started. I assumed. I cut him off calm. You assumed what he told you. He looked away. I didn't fill the silence. I slid my phone across the table. Opened the PDF. My name, the signature, the founding date. Then I asked, tell me if he truly earned that seat. Why is my signature still on the voting ledger? He blinked. Didn't answer. Just sipped his tea and tapped his pen. Dana, who was in the booth behind me, sent a text. He's folding. She was right. That slight lean back, the lack of eye contact, he was doing the math. You don't owe an explanation when the facts speak louder. He said, "We'll fix the board record. It should have never been written that way." I just nodded. No, thank you. No apology expected. This wasn't a favor, it was a correction. Still walking out, I felt it, that twinge in my gut. Like I'd betrayed him somehow. My own son. I remembered the time he was 12 and asked me for $20 to join chess club. I gave him $50. Told him to treat his friends. When did that boy turn into someone who'd erase me? I'm not pretending I didn't see signs. I saw them. I just thought maybe if I stayed quiet, they'd respect me more. Turns out, silence just gave them space to lie louder. Dana caught up to me on the sidewalk, car keys in hand. You good, I nodded. Better than I've been in years. She smiled. Then let's make sure the next move's even cleaner. I didn't argue. We walked toward her white Hyundai. I had one more person to contact before the week ended. She's just a name on paper. He laughed. I was 2 chairs away, setting down a paper cup of lukewarm green tea on the table. January 18th, 44 a.m. Boardroom 3C. He didn't see me walk in. Or maybe he did and thought I wouldn't care. There were 4 of them, him, the junior CFO, and 2 project leads. The kind of meeting where everyone pretends they don't see who's really funding the chairs. He went on about streamlining signatures and phasing out legacy names. They all nodded. I didn't say a word. I just sat, clicked my pen, and waited. Funny how quickly they forget who put them there. At the break, the CFO, Mira, walked up to refill her water. She looked at me, then quietly said, "If you ever want the transcripts, I can send them." I raised an eyebrow. "And what would that include?" She shrugged. "Whatever you weren't supposed to hear." That afternoon, I forwarded my ownership documents to the General Counsel's office. I didn't threaten. I didn't argue. I wrote, "Please ensure voting rights remain unchanged, as per the original agreement dated April 3rd, 2012. 26 words. Enough. If he really earned everything, why was he working so hard to erase me? I sat in my car afterward, 2015 CRV parking lot, B4, and stared at the steering wheel longer than I'd like to admit. There was a part of me that wanted to believe he didn't mean it, that it was just posturing. But the truth is, this wasn't the first time. It was just the loudest. I remembered his graduation years ago, how I let him take full credit for the scholarship we fought to get. I remember the way he introduced me to donors. "This is Sarah, not Mom, not even my mother. Just Sarah." I let him do that, over and over. I thought if I gave him space, he'd grow into someone better. But space became erasure. And now he thought I was paper. The next morning, I printed the latest financial summary, highlighted 2 lines, folded it once clean. My next email needed to land sharp. My name was in the footer again. Small, but there. Legal compliance forced the update. January 24th, 2:36 p.m. I got the revised document from the legal department. Co-founder Sarah L. Marwick. Last time I saw those words printed was 2019. I didn't smile. Just saved the PDF and hit print at the office supply store near Cedar and 14th. 62 cents. Black and white. On the receipt, it said 1-page legal doc. I folded it in thirds, no creases touching my name, and tucked it in my purse behind the coupons I never used. When I showed it to Amy, my neighbor and part-time CPA, she glanced at it, handed it back, and said, "So, you're still on the ship. They just stopped telling you where it was sailing." I asked her one question. If I've been here the whole time, why was I erased? She looked at me, unblinking. Because they thought you wouldn't notice. I didn't say anything. I just sat in her kitchen staring at a jar of peanut butter left open on the counter. Crunchy. My son used to hate crunchy. It wasn't about wanting my name on some banner. It was about accuracy. If I built the foundation, I don't need applause, just acknowledgement. When you say we built this, but mean we took it, that's not family. That's theft in a cardigan. He once said we're family. So does it matter whose name is where I didn't answer then? But now I'd ask, if it didn't matter, why did you take it off? I felt it in my throat again. This tight, silent ball that forms when your pride and your grief collide. I hated how much I wanted to believe him. I hated that I noticed my name gone and did nothing for years, hoping it would fix itself. Like maybe one day he'd remember I was part of it too. I didn't confront him. I didn't send the file yet. I just folded the page, slid it behind my insurance card, and checked my bag twice. Because the next place I'd go, I'd need it. I walked in alone. My heels echoed. They didn't clap. February 3rd, 6th. 12 p.m. The reception hall at the Fairmont Hotel on Pine Street. He didn't know I was invited. His assistant did. She forwarded me the invite by mistake. I didn't correct her. The room was glossy, low-lit, filled with networking smiles and tight cocktail grips. The kind of place where people talk about funding rounds over shrimp skewers. I didn't eat. I just stood near the back, one hand on my purse waiting. He was at the mic mid-sentence. And we owe it all to our incredible founding team. I tilted my head. Founding team. Since when was I a ghost? He saw me, froze, looked at the assistant who looked away. Then he cleared his throat and fumbled for the next line. And to those who supported us early on, you ever walk into a room where your presence rewrites the script? That was it. No speech, no fight, just standing there, breathing. That was enough. Lisa, an old colleague from the first office space we leased back in 2014, leaned over and whispered, "He looked like you pulled the floor out from under him." I half smiled. I didn't even speak. Later, by the drink station, he approached. "Smile tight. Didn't expect you." I sipped my water. "I know." He glanced at the folded paper in my purse. "You're really bringing that up now." "If it didn't matter," I said, "why'd you hide it?" He didn't answer. A moment passed. Then he muttered, "You could have just stayed home, and you could have just told the truth." I meant to sound calm, controlled, but something cracked. I hated that part of me, still wanted him to introduce me proudly. Still wanted to hear my mom helped build this. That part ached. I left before dessert. Didn't need the applause. He didn't follow, but someone else did. I stood, took out the paper, gave it to him. That's all. The room went quiet. We were in Conference Room B at the 16th floor of the Blake and Rowe building, March 14th, 42 a.m. Mid-quarter briefing, 40 chairs. I was invited as a guest. I didn't ask who approved it. The CEO looked at the folder like it might burn his hands. He opened it, flipped to the signature page. His eyebrows didn't move, but his eyes scanned fast. Then slow. Then he exhaled through his nose. "This changes things," he muttered, mostly to himself. Someone at the table asked, "What's that?" He didn't answer. I didn't help him. 2 seconds. That's how long it took. 2 years of silence, of sitting at the kids' table, of being the old lady who helped once, instead of co-founder. Gone. Maya, one of the board's junior partners, looked between me and my son. "Wait," she said slowly. "Your mom's name was always there." He didn't speak. I didn't wait. On my way out, she caught up with me by the elevator. "That was clean," she said, half smiling. "Wish I could pull that on my brother." I smiled back, but something twisted inside. My son didn't even look up. Not once. He just kept flipping his pen between his fingers. I used to buy him those Pilot G2s in bulk. I sat in my car afterward, an old gray Honda CR-V, and just stared at the wheel. Not proud, not angry. Mostly tired. I should have seen this coming sooner. I saw the signs. I told myself he was stressed, that he'd grow out of it. Family doesn't erase you. And if it does, what are you still protecting? Next day, I got a calendar invite. Not from him, from legal. The air felt lighter outside. Or maybe that was me. I walked past the front glass doors of the building, down toward the parking lot behind the fountain. It was almost noon, 11:58 to be exact. The sky was that bland gray blue, neither here nor there. I didn't rush. No one followed. Back in my car, I sat with the engine off. The document still sat in the glove compartment. Folded once, no drama, no speech, just facts with a signature. And that was enough. On the way home, I stopped at the gas station on Oak and 5th, filled up the tank, 4612. The guy behind me in line nodded at my car and said, "Still runs good for a Yun model." I smiled. "Still mine," I replied. A petty thing to say, maybe. But after everything, I'll take it. I got home and stared at the kitchen table for a long time before making coffee. The same mug, same drip machine, same routine. Still black, still mine. And yet I kept thinking about the little things I let slide. The tone, the jokes. That time 3 years ago when he asked to borrow my tax return transcript for a rental application, I didn't even ask why. I just sent it. I thought helping was loving. But if he could pay on his own, why use my credit family doesn't start with assumptions and end with silence? If we're so close, why did I only find out through a bored email Helen called that afternoon? "You okay?" she asked. He looked like he swallowed a stapler. I laughed, but not loud. "I'm fine," I said. Then quieter. "I'm just not sure what comes next." Because I wasn't angry anymore. But I wasn't ready to forgive either. That night, I opened my calendar and stared at the meeting invite from legal.